you. I'm excited to get soulful with all of you and drink my mood healing tea from Van Gogh's Bipolar. I chose upper because I want to have the energy to express what I'm about to express. So, with what I understood, the whole point of this series is to express a relatable feeling, which is going through a form of emergence. What is emergence? Initially, akala ko what I was going through was called something more negative and heavy, where it would relate to hardships or struggles, but we don't use that anymore. We use emergence. Emergence in a sense of a seed breaking through the soil or a tree breaking through the soil to bloom into their true form. And I'm at a point in my life where I have challenged myself in many ways. I decided to move from the Philippines, where I have all my safety nets, all my comforts, lahat ng taong kilala ko, na kung sino yung mga lugar na kinalakihan ko, yung mga kakilala ko, yung mga lugar na gusto kong puntahan. And which one of them actually was Van Gogh is bipolar. So it's so timely that we're here now at this chapter of my life where I've changed now multiple times, or I put myself in environments that changed me in many ways, but I still find myself here with a little bit of Van Gogh's Bipolar in my cup. And with that, I'm gonna take a sip. So I'm so proud and happy na galing ako sa Pilipinas, na Batanggenya ako, na doon ako lumaki, na doon nagsimula yung career ko. Pero may mga aspeto ng pagkatao ko na hindi ko na-nurture doon kasi nga I'm multicultural. And I think I wanted to discover how big the world was and which versions of myself would come out based on what I was exposing myself to. We're very pampered in the Philippines, and we're very lucky to have a lot of love. And the more I travel, the more I realize na iba talaga ang pagmamahal tsaka the nurturing personality of the Filipino. When there's Pinoy in whatever country, we're all over the world, it makes me feel at home and safe right away. But I also wanted to grow as an artist, and I feel like because my life was so set in the Philippines, I wasn't really being pushed to nurture other aspects of myself. I think it's good to look at your feisty side. You know, like I grew up in a teeny bopper stage where I wanted to please everyone around me. I was a big people pleaser, and so everything that everyone around me wanted to be, I wanted so much to fulfill that and be that, because I wanted to be liked and I wanted people to be happy about me. And I found that it kind of lessened how I felt about myself, because it was always based on someone else. So when I started this journey and I gave up my comforts and my security and the fact that I, had work and all these things, to grow as a human being, bilang artist din, may mga gusto mong maranasan. At bilang tao, before one day I'd like to think that I look back at my life and I lived an extremely fulfilling life. I've actually, at this point in my life, lived multiple lives. Tumira rin ako sa France. I am from the south of France. My dad is half, and it was important for me to rediscover that aspect of myself. And I think even my mannerisms have changed because of getting in touch with that side of myself. My art has changed, my way of expressing myself. I love anything cultural, and during my time in Nice, I was exposed to a lot of music, and I love to sing, but I never really had the courage to sing. And so being in that environment encouraged me to do these things. And then the next level, after I came back to the Philippines, I felt the need that, you know, there's these dreams that we have in our mind that we think we have to wait for the perfect moment to do them. And then we just live our lives and we realize that we're not actually moving towards them because the body and the mind doesn't know the difference of like thinking it. They, you know, sometimes I think something and I'm gratified already. I experienced it already, even though I haven't. So sometimes blind trust in your actions are really important. Just being able to, when you want to do something and you just realize that there's probably a reason why this idea was planted in your mind. And so I wanted to explore that. I had this vision when I was younger of going out to Hollywood and trying to make it as an actress. And I grew up watching old Hollywood films, and my vision of Hollywood was old Hollywood. And I was named after an old Hollywood actress called Lauren Bacall. My name is Madeleine Lauren. And we'll get into all my names because I was launched in the Philippines as Carla, and then when I moved to the US, I thought it would be the perfect time for me to actually let go of that persona and pursue being Madeleine and what that came with, and the authenticity that came with that. And you know, sometimes being a public figure, you think you have to act a certain way. When I started referring to myself as my birth name, I felt my body felt more relaxed and more comfortable in my own skin. And, you know, that I feel like that's just a symbolism, but people can feel like that in so many other ways, whether it's a name or a label we give ourselves that restricts us from being who we want. And I feel like coming out here, it wasn't, yes, there were a lot of things that I learned, but there were a lot of things I realized I needed to unlearn, kind of like shedding skins and coming to my core. And I had this belief that I had certain limitations, and so I was run by fear, and I thought that I was weak and that I needed someone to lean on all the time. So what was really good about this was that I was left alone to figure everything out on myself, from the little mundane things in life to the big things in life, which gave me a lot of anxiety. And I think when I was living in the Philippines, I was able to rely a lot on other people to help me to do things. And here there's a certain pride. I was like, even though I was in front of the public eye, I had very low self-esteem and confidence. And that's something that I thought, you know, maybe I could like just, you know, show myself and present myself in a way, and it would show that I was confident. I think the reason why I love acting is because I'm able to immerse myself into another character and be that person. But when I turn that off, I'm left with myself, and there's a certain confidence that I can't manufacture. And so because I put myself in these situations that are filled with growth, which I didn't realize, that's why it's called growing pains. It's because growth is very painful. It puts you in a very scary place, and it puts you in a place where you have to be brave and you have to be fearless. And so all of that said, a huge part of my journey, when I moved to LA, the pandemic happened and I was alone with myself. I learned a lot about myself, and also I learned a lot about the things that weren't serving me, and how that if I'm not fearless, that nobody's going to be a knight in shining armor to protect me or save me. But also there's this certain victimhood or mentality that if you're a woman, you're weak, which is very old school thinking, where actually women are extremely tough. And it's crazy, the more I evolve as a woman and the more my contemporaries or my sister or my mom evolves as a woman, the more I realize like how incredibly powerful a woman is. And so because of that, because you realize that these things are undeniable, and through your actions of like taking care of yourself and building a life from nothing, without, you know, literally just you figuring things out every day, you putting a foot in front of the other every day. And that pala is what gives you confidence. Showing yourself that you're undeniably strong and you're undeniably capable of anything you put your mind to. And I think it's extremely important, because when you go through a big transition, so I moved from LA to New York. Why did I do that when I already found my rhythm? Well, basically it was because once again I was getting comfortable and I didn't feel like I was pushing myself. LA is laid back, and also I don't think there's like a best place. I think there's a perfect place for a perfect time in your life, and you're just meant to be in a certain place in your life. And because the things that I wanted to polish, or to like, if I was a diamond, the things that I wanted to, you know, just polish about myself was having the courage to not bullshit myself, to be honest with myself and to be fearless with myself, to take out all the habits I had that were serving others rather than myself, or how I fooled myself, and how to believe things that aren't true about myself, and how to rediscover what are the things that are true, what are factual, and what are ever evolving. And yeah, so when I moved out here, since it is like a pressure cooker, it's either, you know, you sink or you float. And I was at the point where I want to show how strong I can be. I want to push myself. I want to reach my full potential. But there's a huge chunk that people don't see, where you're constantly doubting yourself, you're constantly feeling like you're an imposter in your life, and the things you're aiming for are unrealistic. But these are all lies we tell ourselves, because the thing is, we only have one life to live, and the life we choose to live, we're the only ones that really get to experience that. And if we don't honor ourselves or the person that we want to be, then, you know, one day we'll look back at life and feel like, sayang, dapat ginawa ko to, or sayang, I shouldn't have stopped myself from doing this, or why do I have so much shame or so much doubt or so much guilt in trying to become the best version of yourself. And one thing I realized, it's just like when you're a child, you may like a certain food, or you may hate a certain food, and when you get older, you love it. So these things also evolve. So don't be afraid that, you know, you have this label. Like back in the day, our value was so attached with the job or the success we have in our field. But we live in a world where we don't just have one job in a lifetime now. And so if we attach our value into one life we've lived, or into one challenge we've overcome, then that's when the growth stops. And you know, they say like, you don't get old until you stop growing. And I hope that my soul keeps growing, keeps evolving, and becomes someone that I can be really proud of, whatever it may be. I'm not claiming that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but what am I'm actually just making the most of everything I have, and I'm trying to be as fearless as I can every day, and I'm trying to take care of myself in the way of like, I always try to aim more for myself and find different ways to live up to my potential. And yeah, I think it's just so important that you know that you deserve everything you've ever wanted, and that you make the effort to move towards that. Don't allow analysis paralysis to get to you. Don't allow self-doubt. Don't allow your past experiences or how other people have made you feel to stop you from going after your dreams, whatever that may be, because there's a reason why those thoughts came into your mind and that longing came into your soul. And so yeah, I hope that the next time I watch this video, I am happy that I reached a point where I had the courage and it really paid off. And I accept the fact that my journey won't be perfect. Even when I speak right now, I've always been so self-conscious of fumbling and all that, that it's all part of the beauty of the experience. And I hope that you know that I am proud of you. Cheers. I hope that was a good dose of tea for the soul for you, because it was for me.